Okay, so we got some weird stuff going on right now when it comes to Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP that is now released. And you might not know that this game released yesterday because a lot of these news outlets are refusing to cover the game. Now, originally, this game was supposed to come out, I believe, on September 25th. It got pushed up a couple weeks, so it came out yesterday on September 12th. But a lot of these news outlets like IGN is refusing to even cover the game and even talk about the game itself. And IGN kind of puts out like a little article. They did not review the game, but they put out an article just explaining that it got released a couple weeks early. And they basically said, yeah, here's our old review, which is a 5/10. And this has kind of upset a few people. It doesn't really upset me, but it kind of like shows you the current way the industry is going with these news outlets and why you shouldn't really follow them or really kind of give them any credibility, because all these news outlets, all they care about is a narrative. That's all they care about, is having a narrative that fits their politics, and that's not what gaming should be. It should never be about that. It should always be about the game. You review the game because that is your job as an outlet. If you are a game journalist and you do game reviews on your channel or website or your outlet, then it is your responsibility to review games regardless of your politics or you possibly upsetting the they-them crowd within your staffing. That should never be part of it. It should always 100% be about the games. And of course, IGN, once again, allows their social politic bias to kind of like just bleed through and affect what they're supposed to be about, which is the games. And that kind of bothers me a little bit. So just kind of give context to this, they gave the original Lollipop Chainsaw, the one that's right here. I have my original copy on the 360. I still have my original copy. It went up in value a little bit, surprisingly. I got like in like a little acrylic case, but I still have my copy. But IGN gave this game a 5 out of 10 back when this game first released, and it was a mediocre score. To kind of give context on, now I don't care what a company gives a game. It's all depending on the person. It's all subjective. Like one person can play something and give it a completely different score than what I did. What bothers me in this case, in this scenario, is that they don't even bother to go back and replay the RePOP version. Now, this review right here was done by this person right here, Mitch Dyer. So instead of having someone else within the staffing play the remastered / remake version of this game and see what the difference is, maybe it get a higher score, they're like, oh no, here's our score of 5 out of 10. If you want to see our review of the original. Notice, however, they don't do the same thing when they remaster The Last of Us Part 1, remaster The Last of Us Part 2, Metroid Prime Remastered, the Metal Gear Solid Remastered Collection. You notice they don't do all that, right? So, another thing that kind of makes me frown on this whole situation is that, again, Lollipop Chainsaw does not fit the IGN narrative, the inclusive narrative. They don't like the idea of women being sexy and having that sex appeal. For some reason, these weirdos look at that as a bad thing, right? Although, you know, girls like to dress up, like look at Instagram and stuff, you know, women like to look sexy. They do that for a reason. Sex does sell. That's one of the biggest things we have heard in any industry. Sex sells, right? But, you know, nowadays, guys, you know, they, them crowd, these corporations, these review outlets don't like the idea of women being sexy. And to kind of give you a more context on that situation, let's look at IGN's review of a game called Dustborn. They gave that a 7 out of 10, where they gave Lollipop Chainsaw a 5 out of 10. You know, and again, I will defend them that reviews are subjective. Each person will have their own opinion on a review. But the thing that really kind of like gets me upset, or at least gives me cause to pause, and you can see the Metacritic rating compared to IGN's rating, what gives me cause to pause is the fact that they don't even go back to even review the remake slash remaster to try to see if it does better. Like, they don't even give another person. They're like, no, we did 5 out of 10 years ago. We're not going past that, because they don't like what Lollipop Chainsaw represents. We've seen the backlash from outlets like Kotaku and all that when it came to Stellar Blade. They don't want women looking sexy. They feel like it sends the wrong message. The they them staffing crowd, they get all mad and like, oh no, like no. They get so bent out of shape. And if it doesn't fit their biased narrative, they refuse to even acknowledge this game. And a lot of people, including me, who is a fan of the original game, I had no idea the game even came out yesterday because nobody promoted it. Nobody reviewed it. There was no review code sent out as far as I know, because no one I follow has reviewed it. And I had no idea this game even came out yesterday until the news article started coming out that IGN refused to even review the game. And that's sort of where like things just kind of happen. And you can see where there's already, YouTube creators going ahead and trying to like call IGN out for this is like, I'm too hot for journalists. Like, you just see what it looks like over on Twitter right now, where the woke, I don't even like using the woke word. Woke is such a trigger word, but like the they them inclusive crowd, the biased inclusive narrative crowd of they them, right? You can see where people are starting to call them out. And I actually love this collection. I think I'm going to buy the physical collection on Switch, but you can just see where people are calling them out and just saying how hypocritical they are. You are a news outlet. Your job is to review these games. You are a news slash review gaming outlet. It's your job to review these. You can't just throw a score from years ago, from 2012, and say, oh yeah, that's our score, we're sticking to that. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if you're going to upset the they them crowd or upset anyone else. Just the fact that you are refusing to review the game says a lot. And a lot of outlets are doing it. That's one reason, folks, you shouldn't go to these news outlets. I don't care who is it, IGN, whatever, Kotaku, you shouldn't. Find a couple reviewers on YouTube that you trust, that you basically have the same taste in games with that reviewer, and you follow them. Whether it be someone like Angry Joe or someone of that nature, Angry Joe, RGT85, the Spawncast, OJ, Player Essence, those type of guys that will keep it a buck, keep it real with you, and you kind of have the same taste. I try to talk about games and review games as much as possible. If you want to follow me, then hey, that's great too. But find someone that will have that sort of, don't go with these corporations, because a lot of these corporations, it's all biased. They get codes, they get paid to say certain things and whatnot. It's all biased, and they all serve a certain agenda at the end of the day. So Lollipop Chainsaw RePOP, I'm personally looking forward to picking the game up. Like I said, I liked the game a lot back in 2012 when it was first initially released. Like to see what they did with the remaster, but that's just my thoughts on it. I want to take this time to thank everybody. We got a lot of new subscribers from the PlayStation Pro videos. The Pro news kind of light today, but I'm sure it's going to pick back up. But please do me a favor. If you're new to the channel and you're finding me for the very first time, please smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thank you all so very much. Hope you guys all have a great weekend. Until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and thank you for watching.